Testing, testing, one, two, three.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks for showing up and waiting for us to get the technical difficulties out of the way. All right, let's get into it. Make sure you guys join the Discord if you have not. Just scan the QR code. This is your first time. All right, make sure you guys sign in. The sign in is dropped. We will be checking. So if you guys want to get pizza, scan or make sure you guys sign in. Also, check the calendar as well. See what events we have coming up. Also, we have the RITSEC mailing list as well. Make sure you guys sign up for that and see what news we have and see what meetings, what presentations we have, and what interest groups are doing. Now, guys, clap it up for the sponsors. All right. Thank you, guys. Make sure you follow our social media. You guys can stream the presentation if you guys want to join remotely next time. Also, check out our LinkedIn for any new LinkedIn posts and also our Instagram. You might be featured on there. All right, now time for announcements. We have the WESIS Cross Chapter CTF. Make sure you guys interested in signing up for this CTF, scan that QR code right there. It is being held on March 28th to the 29th, and it is fully remote. So if you guys want to get some experience in, scan that QR code. There's also a WESIS movie night. They're watching Snowden at the Marshall. If you guys are interested in watching that as well, that is also happening on the 28th from 11:30 to 2:30. Anyone is welcome. Now also, if you guys are interested in running for e-board for next school year, we have a few positions open. President all the way down to head of research and education. The timeline is right there. I suggest you guys sign up. For you guys coming to education, I want to see you guys running for head of education because you guys are here. If you guys have any questions about what I do for head of education, don't be afraid to reach out. We also have some past IRSEC CAs here and treasurer, and if you guys are interested about any position, don't be afraid to ask about it. So yeah, make sure you guys sign up. You guys are our members, and we need you guys to run the club after we are done. Also, slide roulette. If you guys not heard of this before, at the end of every semester, we do a cool, funny slideshow where you make a slideshow for someone, and someone else presents it. It's a cool, funny way to have some fun with your fellow RITSEC members. We hope you guys participate this year. It's always a blast. And yeah, it is April 24th. Make some slideshows, guys, and you will have a fun time. All right. Everyone making a slideshow? Yeah. Thank you, guys. All right. We also have Imagine RIT signups. The cybersecurity building will be turned into a Ariba space station. This is happening with the cyber range staff, and we will be, if you guys are interested in helping out, we will be responsible of doing our regular IG operations and welcoming people as they come in. If you guys want to get your name out there, or maybe get to know a little bit of the cyber range staff or anyone coming around for Imagine RIT, I highly suggest you guys get involved. These are opportunities for you. Scan that QR code if you're interested. All right. We also have WESIS elections. If you guys want to run for any of the WESIS e-board positions, they are open. Nomination period is from March 18 to April 3rd. Scan the QR code to see what positions are open or any information about it. Yeah, and the elections are April 6th in this presentation room from 5:30 to 6:30. So if you guys are looking for any leadership positions and you want to be a leadership position in WESIS, here you go. We also have the RITSEC CTF happening. I want to see you guys there. Teams of 4. Very cool competition, pirate theme. Also free food happening at Next Contagion, April 2nd. the day before the competition. So if you guys want free food, learn how to make a CTF challenge, and get some insight from the CTFCA himself, check out Contagion next, and also April 3rd is the RITSEC CTF. That's next Friday, and before that, we will also have a presentation about how to do CTFs. So don't be worried if it's your first one. I got you guys lined up to learn how to do them. So you take the course first, and then you do it yourself after. Yeah, we got some cool challenges for you guys, and definitely beginner challenge, a lot of beginner challenges too. It's a lot of fun, and it goes throughout the weekend. All right, without further ado, we have OSINT, which is Open Source Intelligence by Odessa. Clap it up, guys. Try to talk into it because it's missing the fuzzy part.
Test.
You gotta like talk into it.
Test. Okay. Cool. Let me just put this on. I feel so official. Okay. Wait, Adam. Just control it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you got it.
Welcome to OSINT. A bit about who I am first. My name's Odessa. I use she, her pronouns. I'm third year CSEC. Occasionally go to VRIG when I'm not dead. I used to run Void Linux. Now I run Artix. I like packages. What can I say? I do cool stuff occasionally, like going to raves. I went to DEF CON this summer. That was also pretty cool. Enjoyer of body mods, looking to get more tattoos when I have more money. For ISTS, I was the main person behind our WeirdOS, otherwise known as NodeOS. It was a hell of a 2 months. I'll be doing a presentation about it at some point. Imagine Linux, but instead of having a usable front end, it's JavaScript, and it's a shell, and it doesn't have any packages or any space. It was fun. Ash disagrees. And yeah, my words of advice, sleep is not important if your project is cool enough. That being said, what are we doing? We're going to be going over what OSINT is, why we do OSINT, how to do OSINT, including some tools that I personally use. Forgot to throw this in there, but we will be doing a semi-live demo of running an operation on one of our favorite RITSEC members, Michael Brenner. And then you'll go off and do your own demos. So getting started. A disclaimer. The information contained in this presentation is for educational purposes only. RITSEC nor its members hold any responsibility for any misuse of the information provided in any slides, discussions, activities, or exercises. Don't be evil. All right, now that's out of the way. I can get on the fun stuff. What is OSINT? OSINT, strict definition, is open source intelligence. So it's intelligence gathered from the analysis of publicly available data or information. So stuff online that isn't locked behind a paywall, isn't locked behind someone's password, just freely out there. Posted publicly, even if it's a little hard to access publicly. You don't have to go through any sacrifices to get at it. Is it legal? Yeah. Within reason. Varies by the laws of your country what you are allowed to do. But generally speaking, you're allowed to search people up. When you start publishing information, that's where we get into doxing, which is illegal. So don't publish people's information online without their consent. All the information I will be publishing online as of today, I got full consent for, and Brenner checked over everything, and actually did tell me to remove something, so yeah, do that. Is it ethical? Really depends what you're using it for. Use your best judgment. If you have a good reason, it still might not be ethical. You might not be an ethical person. It's on a case-by-case basis, so just be careful whenever you're doing OSINT operations. Why do we do OSINT? Two sides, really. You have the good side, security and defense, business intelligence, general investigations, journalism, especially journalism, and research and education like we're doing here. Businesses will use some of these OSINT tools to do background checks when you're applying, to make sure you're not a criminal, to make sure you aren't posting problematic things online. And the bad side, privacy invasion, disinformation, espionage, cyber threats, and legal and ethical breaches. Taking advantage of people, blackmailing people. Don't do that. Oh yeah, again, doxing is when you publish your findings online without consent. Again, do not do this. It is illegal. It's really easy to accidentally do, but there's like serious consequences. Do not do it. We use OSINT mainly to get our social engineering attacks better. So in cybersecurity, like, okay, we find out a bunch of stuff about this person. What are we actually going to do with it? We take it and we put it into a social engineering attack. So the more you know about the person, the better you can tailor your attack to seem more realistic to what they would expect. So if you're doing a phishing email, if you can find out the email that you're sending it to a bunch of services is signed up for, you can try and disguise your email as a service they're used to getting emails from. Looks less weird, looks less suspicious. They're more likely to click on your phishing link to download LumaStealer. For vishing, phishing with your voice, traditionally over phone, like scam calls to try and get you to give up your bank information. It's kind of hard to do if you don't know what bank they use. You can find that out using OSINT. For physical ops, or for physical social engineering, how do they address? What communities are they in? What can you wear that will lower their defenses? What can you wear that might provoke a certain reaction out of them that you want? And just in general, pretext, an excuse to do something or say something that is not accurate. Just in general, being able to know what they want to hear. So here's a little example. So our attackers here, they want to get at Michael Brenner. So they find his Discord, and from that they're able to get to his website. Well, that's pretty interesting. He has a RITSEC GitLab account. I wonder what he does there. Surely it's not the ISTS store. Hey Brenner, can we join store? And now you've got at him. Now you're in his close circle. Now you have access to his computer. That is a social engineering example where we used OSINT to gain more information so we could get at Brenner. But now let's get to the fun stuff. How to OSINT. This isn't a tutorial, but it'll provide you some tips. We're going to start off with the professional side. There's a 5-step cycle that you're pretty much going to follow on every single op you do. Starting with preparation. Figuring out what you need to get answered, what you need to find. Your goal, what do you need to get to that goal? Because it doesn't matter what information you find if you aren't able to apply it. So what do we need answered and what do we need to know? Step 2, collection. Where will your data come from? What tools are you using? Where will you be keeping it? Where will you be formatting it? Where will you be connecting things to each other? 3, processing. How can you make your data useful? A lot of information you're going to find is not going to be useful. Believe it or not, someone's pet's name normally cannot be used to reset their password. So, like, that's not really useful information. But a home address or a mailing address is. So how can we make the data we found useful? 4, analysis, what questions can be answered? This ties back to number 1. What needs to be answered? Now we have the information, how can we answer it? And 5 is dissemination reporting. How can we convey our analysis? So oftentimes OSINT will be done as part of a pen testing op. You have to report everything. How are we going to be reporting it? And after that's done, we go back to number 1. What do we know now? What do we still need to know? OPSEC is the concept, it's like sort of the opposite to OSINT. It's keeping your personal security safe. Be that like about yourself or about your company. Yeah, it's an analytical process used to attempt to deny adversaries information, keeping your digital footprint either as small or as scattered as possible. Yeah, its purpose is protecting sensitive information, protecting information disclosure to adversaries, and denying an adversary information. There's a saying that OPSEC is kind of dead because of the internet and because like signing up for microservices, data brokers. That is technically true. However, it is a lot easier to, instead of hiding information, making sure you do things that will be logged under separate digital footprints, making sure they're not connectable to each other. So yes, that information might be out of there, but without the correct context, it's useless to whoever finds it. Social media is really important for OSINT. Going back to OPSEC, people really like to share their lives, really like to share too much about their lives, actually. And it makes getting information really easy about someone if they have a public account, or even like on some private accounts, you'll still have a visible bio. Thinking about RIT students, if you're trying to find something about someone in one of your classes, oh, they're in a specific fraternity or sorority. That's a start. Their profile might be private, but you know where to start now. Facebook can be used really well to get someone's family information if you're able to find names of family members. Oftentimes, people, like, even though your target might be really paranoid about their security, their parents aren't. Just post stuff. LinkedIn. Normally, LinkedIn is where people will post the information they're okay with sharing, but sometimes when used with other information, it can become really easy to exploit. If someone has a public Twitter, that's their fault. You can look at their reposts, at things they've said, going back years. If that's public, that's on them, honestly. In social, it's often really important to remember that when you hit a dead end, you can pivot to other things. So if you hit a dead end on a website, don't keep hammering at it, don't keep trying at it. Use what you've learned now, pivot off of that. Start trying things together in different combinations. Again, if someone has a good social media barrier, someone in their family probably doesn't. And, you know, they might be in like tagged photos, for instance. Yeah, part 2, social media. People's OPSEC is really bad sometimes, most of the time actually. Have you ever reused a username? I can find that. Put your real name in your username. That is connected your account, wherever that is, to not only the rest of your online accounts, but to your real identity. So now, maybe an account you didn't want to be connected to your real identity, we can figure out that that's you. Tagged in photos on social media, again, a lot of people forget to check this when you're hiding or when you're going more private. Your friends will just tag you in their photos. There's certain ways to find that, but that is information, and that's now on your friends to protect, not on you. And lastly, if you're personally connected to the target you want to find, you might have some mutuals. For instance, if you're trying, for some reason, for like a demo, for instance, you're trying to OSINT someone in RITSEC, you might have a lot of mutuals that you can use to find funny photos. Or you might be able to DM one of their team members and get a very silly photo of them stretched out on the couch. So that's generally how to OSINT. Now we're going to get into specific tooling you can use. Most of these are going to be free, or like you have to sign up with an email. But all of them are going to be really useful. Starting at the very lowest, your search engine. Google Dorking is really useful for finding specific things because you can specify extremely specific searches. So if you're looking for a textbook, you could use something like whatever the name of the textbook is, and then file type :PDF, and that will return only PDFs with that exact string in them. It's pretty cool. Other cool ones, confidential file type PDF and specifying a site. In URL admin of a site. Maybe the auth isn't set up correctly. Or anything site, Pinterest.com. This is an old presentation. There's a lot of information that is hidden in metadata as well that you can look for. So these Google searches will search them as well. So you may have to go a little deeper into whatever you find, but it will be there. There's a couple tools online that you can use to make very specific Google Docs that if you don't know all the syntax, you can just look those up. They're really easy to find. Image and video searches. Reverse image searching something is a really important part of OSINT because there's just so much information there, especially on like a profile picture, if it's a unique profile picture. Google Lens is what most people use. Just go to images.google.com and press on the little camera icon. You can just upload images there. It'll search for them. Bing Visual Search, if you're a Bing user, probably has some AI integration as well because Bing has AI integration. Might be useful. I don't use it. There are CLI tools, FFmpeg, which is normally just used for turning one kind of media into another. Can still be used to extract metadata, can still be used to figure out very specific things. EXIF tool is an OSINT or CTF tool used exclusively to find metadata about images. So trying to find something about a certain picture, well, if they didn't wipe the metadata and they took it on a nice camera, it might have a GPS tag on it. Now you know exactly where that photo was taken, which can be very useful, or it can be the solution to a CTF challenge. Do RITSEC CTF. Then there are some other web tools, web extensions. TinEye used to be a really powerful tool for reverse image searching. It's pretty dead now. If you're able to find something out of it, good, but most likely it just won't return anything. Google Lens is really the best bet here. People search engines. They are online search engines that just collect data about people connected to names. You can find a lot about anyone with a certain name. You just put the name in, maybe their address, maybe their state, maybe a phone number, maybe an email, and it'll give you a lot of information correlated with that. A lot of this works best on US residents. I can't imagine why you'd be trying to OSINT someone who isn't a US resident here. But yeah, you will get less accurate results for that. Some of these sites are kind of shady though, and they will try to make you pay, even if the information is technically free. Don't pay for it. There's just pivot to another site. Don't ever pay for a people search engine unless you have like a really good reason to. The other thing with these is finding the wrong information is really easy. If someone has a somewhat common name, maybe there's 2 of these people in this certain city you're looking at. So just Any information you find there, make sure you can tie it back to the person you are trying to target. Because if you aren't, now you're just going after some innocent victim. And they don't deserve that. G-Hunt. This is inarguably my favorite tool. Because most people don't realize how much public information Google has on you by default. They just, like, if you have any public Google calendars and I have your email, I can find that. Your Google Maps review page, really useful. That's public unless you hide it. If I get your email, put it in there, I can go to your Google Maps review page. Ever left a review of like a restaurant in your city? Maybe you're like a local guide. Now I know where you frequent. This can be, G-Hunt can be disabled somewhat because you can go into your Google settings and set a lot of your stuff to private. It's not that by default. I would highly recommend going into your Google settings and making sure there's no information, or download G-Hunt, run it on yourself, see what you can find. It's just a Python tool, so you install it with pip. It's, yeah, again, it is my favorite tool, and we will probably be using it in the demo later. Government records. Public records, they're government sites, so they look really sketchy because it's government and they don't have good web devs, but they're accurate. As long as they're official government, they are accurate. For example, voting records. In a lot of states, they're just public. If you have a name, you can go and find the voting record. They're organized by county a lot of the time, so it may require a little bit of OSINT to get down to where you need to be, but again, they're really useful. Use your Google Dorking, use some of the other tools you have, figure out, if you can figure out a general area, G-Hunt. You can find out what their city is. The restaurants, like a bunch of reviews. What county's that? Maybe look at that person in that county. Other things you can find: deeds, powers of attorney, mortgages, discharge of mortgages. So now you have a lot of house information. And just generally whatever the government collects on you that they decided to make public for no good reason. Oh, yes, in our example here, if you get a ham radio license, your ham profile is public. You can't make it private. So here's our good friend John from Ops. That's his call sign, previous call sign. That's an address. This is public information. I had his name. I just looked him up. He does know that this exists, though. Everyone who gets a ham license, they're aware that this is published, so that they can't be too evil under their real name. The US records, as a personal note, again, they're horrible to use. Canadian records, the experience is so wonderful. Whatever the Canadian government does to make their lookups like fast and pretty, it's great. It's so much better than the States. Networking tools. This is going away from searching for people specifically, and now say you found some websites, maybe one of their websites. Dig an NS lookup, query DNS directly, find stuff about their DNS. Traceroute. Surely they aren't just running a server out of their home. You can find their IP. Whois is registration for domain names. It's not super useful anymore. But again, if there's any information on there and you run it, you can find it. Maxmind can be used to geolocate IP addresses. Looking at certificates on someone's website, you might find a hidden page where auth is using the default password or something. Now we're getting more into like actual web attacks, but like information. Audible mention is the robots.txt. This is, on some pages, a specific page used to tell bots what not to index. People will just put their, like the domains they don't want to get indexed, they don't want to be public, in there. Just go to a website and /robots.txt. Might be there, might not. Again, it isn't necessary. Cloudflare also does stuff now to prevent bots, and a lot of people use Cloudflare, so it's less useful, but any little bit helps. Think about all of your networking classes, everything you've learned in there that you might be able to use to figure out information about IPs. The IP is public. This is all open source intelligence. Shodan. Another very fun tool. It helps automate a lot of your web tooling. Specifically, it's a port scanner. So if you have a website, you can run it in Shodan. It'll find all the open ports. It'll find DNS information. It's really powerful. You can find open CCTV cameras if anyone's had Weissman and he's pulled up that one website where you can just view public CCTV cameras. This is the method that's used to discover them a lot of the time. Some parts of Shodan are locked behind a paywall. I was lucky enough there was what? Oh, there's a student plan? Oh, there's a student plan. Oh, student plan is free. Okay. I was lucky enough a couple months ago there was an amazing sale where you could get full access forever for $5, and so I did that. But yeah, sign up with your student email. We are an accredited university, so you can just get Shodan access for free. I did not know that. Going to more CLI tools, the Harvester is a bulk search engine for OSINT to automate your searches. I'm pretty sure it's built into Kali. There's a ton of plugins. One of the developers and maintainers is active RITSEC, is a RITSEC alumni. Useful tool for just gathering large amounts of data on a person or a website. Spiderfoot, automated scans. It gives a nice report of results. Mostly relies on basic web, like, oh, does a page exist? DNS records. Some websites will check, like, oh, if an email exists for this website, we can send a reset password request. Now we know that email is associated with this website. It can be pretty unreliable, though. Diamonds in the rough kind of situation. Hunchly is not really something you're going to use every day. It's a tool used by large organizations for investigations. If you get a co-op doing open source intelligence, which you can do, I know someone who got a co-op doing that for a bank, you might end up using this, yeah. It's not free, so again, you probably won't end up using it in your personal life, but who knows, could be useful. Maltego is of a similar use case. You're not really going to be using it by yourself. It is also more of a organization-based tool, but its visualizations are really nice because it connects everything using a large graph, and then you could just like move it around, connect things to each other. Yeah, it's fun to use. In the OSINT class, I'm pretty sure people used it. I don't think it's being offered anymore, though, unfortunately. The OSINT framework. So this is a large repository of tools online, all connected to OSINT and OPSEC. If you look it up, the website itself is just a website of little nodes you can click on depending on what you want. Some tools are outdated and don't work. Some domains have been bought and now go to scam websites because threat actors didn't like those tools being on the OSINT framework. But it's kept roughly up to date, and there are some very funny tools on there. For instance, I am going to mispronounce this. Maigret, it's French. It is the successor to a tool called Sherlock, which is username lookups. It has issues. It has a lot of false positives because it more looks for, so it tries to load on each of the websites a profile with that username. And if it returns an error or returns a successful connection is if it tells you it exists. So you will get a bunch of false positives for when the page still loads, even if there isn't a profile there. But you can use it as well to find some really cool stuff. Wiggle.net, oh, I did not finish typing there. It's for finding Wi-Fi signatures, like Wi-Fi networks. People will war drive around and submit what they find in their scans, like to wiggle.net. And so if you have a general area, you know, maybe leverage it, maybe find networks around. I have used wiggle.net for CTFs before as well, so just keep it in mind. ADSB exchange. If you've ever heard of Flight Radar 24, it's that, but there's no request to remove private planes. So on Flight Radar 24, Elon Musk requested that his private planes be removed. ADSB exchange does no such thing. It just scrapes ADSB information, any flight. It's cool. And then this last one, I think it's pronounced Holy. It's the little devil up there in the corner. You can submit an email to it, and it'll check if that email has been used on a bunch of services. Again, like Migrate, you'll get a lot of false positives, but if you check, you can lower it down and maybe find some interesting websites that have an email connected to them, Michael Brenner. I didn't put it in my demo, don't worry. Finally, let's talk about artificial intelligence in OSINT. This is new to this year because AI was not in the place it was last year, but it can be used as a legitimate tool now, so let's talk about it. AI is incredible at web scraping, like so much better. Not as like up to date as running Google Dorks, but connecting information, building a profile on someone. AI is really good at that. I put ethical concerns up here. This is not about ethical concerns of using AI. This is AI having ethical concerns about what you're doing and not wanting to do it. You can get around it. You can convince it that it's chill. It's AI. You got to deal with everything that comes with AI usage. You can set up MCP servers for using specific tools. You might have to build one for using a specific tool. Oftentimes, it's just better to use it yourself than give the tool to an AI. It's good for connecting data or finding correlations between different sources. Ultimately, again, you have to worry about everything with AI. It having ethical concerns, it just hallucinating data, connecting things that aren't there. Yeah. So now to our live demo. I'm so glad you could show up, Michael Brenner. This is gonna be so fun. So if you can just come up here, we're gonna have a little bit of technical downtime now while we set up everything.
Is that the end of the actual slides?
Okay.
You won't show up here. You can move it back and forth if you want. If that makes it easier.
My own chair.
Yeah. You can unshare. Move the terminal. We can just spawn it.
It's not actually sharing. Are you able to share the screen?
Oh, is it not sharing the screen?
No, it's not shared.
No.
Oh, there you go. You got
Yeah. It is. Okay.
You just have to keep it over there.
I would like to state now, all of the information I'm about to present. Hold on, does this work? Does the microphone still work? Oh, that's great. Okay, I have two hands now. All this information I'm about to present has been given the okay by Michael Brenner, as of before I woke up this morning. So I will not be sharing anything that isn't already in my overview.md. So yeah, let's get started. So if you haven't picked it up, I am going to be running a live op on our store lead, Michael Brenner, and starting with the information of his name and Rochester. I'm not using any personal information I found on him because that's kind of cheating. Actually, it might just be easier to open this up. Okay. Oh, there we go. At the top. So, Michael Brenner, Rochester, New York. We can immediately pivot from that. We can, let me pull a web browser up so it's like, okay. We can find his LinkedIn. I hate LinkedIn. What? Yes. I'm actually going to move over here so I can actually see what I'm doing. This is a bit easier. Whatever. I'll just tell you what I found on his LinkedIn. We found this GitHub, Viper Sniper 0501. It's dead. We found this GitLab, MAB 7470. A profile picture. He goes to Rochester Institute of Technology, co-opted with the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division and Applied Physical Sciences Corp, and USPS. I didn't know that one. He went to Kaiserslautern High School. That's how pronounced? Okay, that's what's pronounced. Had CompTIA A+. It said it expired in 2023. I don't know if he'd renewed it. He worked on the ISTS store. There's a live GitHub project here, mbdev/moss. He's a member of RITSEC and CCDC. So starting with his school email, I ran it through gHunt. Found nothing. That's unsurprising. gHunt doesn't normally find a lot from RIT emails. Ran it through Holy. Found nothing. Surprise, surprise. He isn't signing up for random services with his school email. Ran Migrate on this GitHub. Which tool's Migrate? I don't remember. One repo. So this is a valid GitHub account. Oh no, I'm sorry. I ran Migrate on this email. It found a GitHub account that uses that email. One repo still says my main account is @ViperSniper. There's also a valid YouTube, but looking at it, I'm pretty sure it was not him. I think it was a wrong person. So that's all we really found from his school email. ViperSniper 0501. This is where the fun stuff begins. Let me see if, here, I'm gonna try and run a scan for you guys live right now. So this is Migrate running. Yeah, first thing, finds us a Stack Overflow. That's pretty interesting. And a Twitch. We found your Twitch. Your Fortnite clips were pretty cool. For some reason, off.gg, League of Legends, it just validates. I'm not going to be looking at that. I'm pretty sure that's, again, there are a lot of false positives. We're not going to Adult Friend Finder live on stream. Maybe you can. The DeviantArt account, I checked it out. It didn't go anywhere. It was false. Or, okay, it might be his, but there's no information on it. There's no like post. There's no followed artists. Okay, we don't know if it's his. It's not useful anyway. GitLab/ViperSniper0501. That's interesting. It's still running, all the tools. A bunch of these are false positives. I'm pretty sure he isn't a seller on Weedmaps. Yeah, who knows though? Maybe he is. So let's hop back into the overview. Found Stack Overflow, a website that's linked. This forwards to michaelbrenner.dev, so we just have his website now. We could have found this from like his Discord, but I'm trying not to use my own personal information on him. As of pretty sure 2021, he was pretty active, answering software engineering answers. He has a pretty good score on Stack Overflow. He wasn't hated. Yeah, so his Twitch tracker. I don't think that's it's either 2019 or 2021. I don't remember. I typed that in wrong. But yeah, Fortnite clips. The DeviantArt uses they, them pronouns and zero information. I don't know if that's him. I know for a fact Michael Brenner uses he, him pronouns, so whatever. GitLab.com/ViperSniper. There's a project, MAMDAU flight code, from this. Okay, so this is a little trick. If you can find someone's Git, a lot of the times, like when you're first setting up your GitHub, you like git config tac email. That's in all of your commits now. So if you set up your personal email with your GitHub or your GitLab or any Git, that just gets tacked onto your commits. So if you clone a public repo and you just check the Git log, we can get an email. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure the oldest iteration of your website, michael.ionsweb.org. Didn't have anything on it, but hop into archive.org. We can find some stuff. Matrix 0501 doesn't do anything yet. So that's pretty much done with Viper Sniper 0501. That was as far as I was really willing to go. David, do we find anything on Adult Finder? Oh, you did not go on Adult Friend Finder? Okay. Not a real one. michaelbrenner.dev. Nothing new off the page. That was Spotify. How many? Oh, yes, here we go. Did I spell it wrong? Oh no, I have to do www. Because of how he did his DNS records. So www.michaelbrenner.dev. We have a GitHub. We have a GitLab. We have a LinkedIn. Did you update this, or is this what it was last night? Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that GitHub was out of date as of last night. Yeah, so as of last night when I was doing this still had Viper Sniper 0501. Doesn't really matter, we already found the MBDev, but yeah, worth noting. We found a Blue Sky profile for him, though. Yeah, he follows a lot of people, the Mets, open source, but he did have a repost from a furry artist. In his defense, they were complaining about Nintendo. He could see that username, though. This is on him. I'm pretty sure this is archived on archive.org. If we'll go there, it was there for a while. michaelbrenner.dev. Okay, back to that. Is there anything right now thrown into archive.org? There's a lot of information here. Let me... Let's go check this out. That is not, okay, whatever. You guys can go to it on your own. There's a lot of cool information there. Yeah, he used to have a Minecraft server that ran. He has like really old Cyber Patriot scripts still there, or they were there. They're archived now. This repo, which doesn't exist anymore, might have been a friend, might have been, it was a friend from high school, okay. Again, they're not involved in this op, so we're not going to look into them at all. Not going to be using any information that there might be on this person. Got some open ports. I just put here what a port lookup service said these open ports were. They're not that. If you want to run curl, like just curl those pages, see what comes up. This gets into web pen testing. Don't do that. But for whatever reason, his website has these ports open. It uses Caddy. I found that out from a curl. There's also a self-hosted matrix. What? Yeah. You can't access it. You go to that website. It says hello from Tunnel Woof. I'm pretty sure he isn't like this. Here, no, we can actually we can look at it right now. This is Matrix just does this, or I think it does. I looked up this string and it took me to a Russian forum that was talking about Matrix. Oh, okay. I don't know. For some reason, when you look up this string, like the only result for me last night was a Russian forum, and it was talking about Matrix. Unimportant, but kind of funny. So now, mbdev, nothing really compromising in the repos. Nothing really. But we did get his email. Again, using that little Michael, using the git log trick. So I ran ghunt on it. Actually, we can do this live as well. Oh, don't worry about that. That's an artist that I chatted with last night. I was doing it for shits and giggles. Don't worry about that. Found your Google Play stuff? Yeah? Last played game, Jetpack Joyride. Most achievements, Clear Vision 3 Sniper Shooter. That's true. Also got his maps data. Oh, hello? Yeah. For whatever reason. Oh, there we go. So, what happened? He has chosen not to show his reviews on his profile. This is something you can do in your Google settings. So, if we went to the reviews of those places that he reviewed, I'm sure we'd see him. But they aren't right here, and he doesn't have any photos. So, unfortunately, we can't use it. Oh, damn, I did open that like 3 times. My bad. Let's go back to the tunnel. That's what ghunt's like. Ghunt's really silly. So yeah, uses Google Photos, Maps, and Meet, has his Google Play data. You can use his player ID to view his Google Play profile directly. Yeah, he has achievements visible from Balatro, Plague Inc., and Jetpack Joyride. A lot of Plague Inc. achievements. He's a big fan. I agree. I ran mbdev through, I ran this email through, it might be Holy. says in the activated Spotify, Office 365, and Firefox accounts. So if we were going to do a social engineering attack, if we could somehow typo squat one of those domains or have a domain that looks like it was coming from there, that would make a social engineering attack or a phishing attack a lot more convincing. Pretty much done with like his online persona now. So going who he was, Kaiserslautern High School. You look it up, it's a German high school for active military families. So either one or both of his parents were active duty at some point. You look up just like more information, Michael Brenner, Kaiserslautern. You find, some interesting stuff about his parents. He has a younger brother. I didn't really OSINT them. I did look to see which one of his parents was military. I know at least his father was. Both were? Okay, I couldn't find anything on your mother. I didn't try that hard though. So, there's probably something out there. So yeah, now going into like, what?
You found out about David Brenner?
Yes, we did. So yeah, due to this being a military family, I'm not even gonna put any effort into finding a home address because moving around a lot, there's no real point. So it's at this point, it's like not worth the effort. When you combine it with everything else we have, home address isn't really that important. So yeah, that was where I ended off last night. I lied about being sleepy. I finished one of my CTF challenges last night that I was writing. But yeah, that is kind of what it's like to run an op on someone. This is just a little friendly thing. Took me about an hour. Yeah, it's fun. What else did I have in here? Oh, just like different, what's in reports? I don't know what's in reports. Maybe a tool generated that. School email. No, not, the migrate scans didn't do well when I ported them to a file. But yeah, school Gmail. This is what it looks like when there's nothing. So yeah, there's a Google Maps page, no reviews, no public Google Calendar data, no play data. Maps and Meet have been activated, so maybe he went to Google Maps on his school Gmail once. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that is the end of this demo, and hopefully now you guys should do your demos. That's the end of the presentation. Is there, okay. Yeah, thank you. Now I need to get Tailscale off this machine.
Hello. Yeah, okay, it's like demo time. Where's Jake? Fuck. Yeah. I'm in here. I'm looking at you. Do we want to announce pizza? Yeah. Okay, there's pizza. Go get pizza.
work? Yeah. All right. Anybody that ordered a cert or got an email from Dan that says they get a cert and haven't bought it yet, please talk to an e-board member, myself, this man, or Dan. That works. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Research is starting. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Hi. I put the mic on my hoodie so that I don't have to hold it. That's pretty awesome. Advanced tech at RITSEC. You know how it is. Okay, guys. Welcome to research. Let's get into it. As usual, uh, honestly, there's literally one meeting left after this. So if you want to present, yeah, there's no more spots. But next semester in the fall, you can do that. Or the blog. You can do the blog, maybe earn some points. It could be awesome. Sign in, all this yap, which you've all seen, the calendar, the mailing list, follow the socials, and please clap it up for the sponsors. Thank you. All right, some announcements. WESIS cross-chapter CTF is the 28th and the 29th. That's tomorrow and the day after. This weekend, as well as the WESIS movie night showing Snowden at the Marshall tomorrow as well. Also, election nominations. If you want to be nominated, you can nominate yourself or nominate someone you know if you think that they would be a good fit for some of these positions. Nominations close in a few days-ish after the weekend. And you can see the general timeline on the right. Nominations will close. They'll be accepted. Oops, I hit a button. You didn't see that. Oh, guys, this is hella embarrassing. There we go. Okay, yeah. And into the news, cybersecurity news. A new Anthropic AI model. Wow. And also, I'm just going to be talking about some of the continued Iranian cyber threats that have been going on. Now, to get into it, recently leaked from Anthropic was a new tier of AI models nicknamed Mythos or Capybara. Capybara would be a pretty cool tier instead of Opus. Like, what does that even mean? And because of this announcement, this leak, there's been some drops in stocks. I don't know if it's really tied to it or not. Some article that I read said that. You can see some big cybersecurity companies there having some drops in a stock, decent amount. And they claim it's because that this new model may have some pretty serious cybersecurity capabilities. They say it's like more capable than any of the other models so far. And there's also a leak for a summit that they're putting on to have a bunch of CEOs and executives come and I guess present this model. They also did claim that they will perhaps release this model to cybersecurity companies before the general public, just to help shore things up. I don't know. These are leaks. It's not a ton is known, but there was pretty much just this publicly accessible data store that a bunch of people found that contained all these unpublished articles. And Anthropic sort of just claims they may or may not be published, and they're just in the draft state right now. But also, I'm sure you're all aware of the continued Iranian cyber threats. There's been many articles about it. I saw one
from a few days ago, which the claims of a Lockheed Martin hack. I don't know how like true that really is. Lockheed Martin just said like, we have good cybersecurity stuff. They didn't really comment on it. The Stryker attack is pretty big. That one was like kind of goofy, where it was literally just compromised admin account, and they just wiped a bunch of stuff via Intune. Maybe they should have their wipe requests require a multi-admin approval instead of just one admin account. I don't know. I'm not an IT person or OPSEC. Additionally, the FBI has seized some websites that belong to, Handala, which is people believe is a nickname for like the Iranian intelligence agency. This is one of the websites right here, which they have been seized, I think, unless there's just like a PDF on this website or a picture. And also a few hours ago, like around 11, I think, there's been a bunch of news articles posted about the FBI's director's personal email supposedly getting hacked. I don't know how like true those claims are, but there was a lot of articles being published today. So there's definitely a lot that's been going on with Iran targeting the U.S. More so, like more of the U.S. than Israel as of recent, for obvious reasons. There's my sources. And without further ado, Leah, starting out, designing and managing cybersecurity competitions. Chow, I don't know how you say his name, sorry. I'm going to just say Chow. I believe he's a PhD student. We'll be talking about backdoor defense. And then Max will be talking about his experience with the OSCP, personal experience.
so bad. We're so bad. Where's the mic? Hello? Oh, hey. Hayden, how do I put this on my, Can you hear? Nope. Yes? No. I think if I put it on my hood, my hair's gonna touch it. Testing? Testing? I'm just gonna hold it. All right, everyone. Are we ready? Today I'm talking about designing and managing cybersecurity competitions, which is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I'm Leah. Let's talk about who I am. I'm Leah. I'm a third-year cybersecurity major. I was the ISTS competition architect this year. I was also the head of education. I do some other things here and there. And yeah, I guess my credentials to talk about cybersecurity competitions is that I have participated in these competitions on a variety of different levels, both as an organizer, as the black team, CCDC obviously is blue team, and on the red team in various competitions as well. So I know some things about competitions, I guess. Maybe I don't. I want to say that we have a couple talks from RITSEC from like 2 and 5 years ago about competitions that are very similar. So if you want to go take a look at those, they're pretty interesting. How to be a competition architect in Competition Masterclass Part 1. There is no Part 2. And then also, this third link, I'll post these slides by the way. Third link is from NIST about building cybersecurity competitions, which is the only resource I found about putting on competitions that are not CTFs. So this is a very interesting space where I think there could be more research in. And this fourth one, I honestly forgot what it was, but I looked at it and I thought it was interesting, so I put it in this slide. All right. Am I breathing into the mic too much? I'm trying. I'm really trying. There's no fuzzy thing on it. So, red versus blue competitions. First of all, why red versus blue? I didn't know, so I looked it up. It's because of the Cold War. The concept of red teaming and blue teaming emerged in the early 1960s, and an example of this, like an early example of red teaming, was involving the think tank RAND Corporation. This is like, I think I got this information from Wikipedia, so you can look it up, but they did simulations for the US military during the Cold War. So the red team and the color red were used to represent the Soviet Union, of course, and the blue team and the color blue were used to represent the United States. So good guys, bad guys kind of thing, you know? And another example was the US Secretary of Defense assembled a red team and a blue team to explore which government contractor would be awarded an experimental aircraft contract back in the day. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from. And now blue teams are representative of the defenders in competitions, right? And they're usually a team of about 4 to 8 students, depending on what competition you're looking at. So the 8 comes from CCDC, for example. In ISTS, we have 5 people on the team. And they're responsible for engaging in threat hunting, incident response, and system hardening, because the red team are attacking them, right? We always say, like, the good phrase to talk about when you're talking about or describing blue versus red competitions is that you're under live attacks from a red team. So these are usually industry professionals who either red teamed during their time in college or do red team, like, professionally. And they do some cool stuff with that. And their job is to make the blue teams better. So the whole point of these competitions is to educate blue teamers in what, like, you know, getting familiar with operating systems, services, and what looks normal on a system and what might be a red team attack. Examples of competitions are the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition, Cyber Patriot, and Cyber Force, eCitadel, and ISTS. I'm not really going to describe them. But I will describe ISTS. I'm sorry, I lied. ISTS, because I'm the ISTS CA, this whole presentation is kind of based on, not kind of, it is based on my experiences running the competition and things that I learned and things that I observed. But the whole point is that you should be able to extrapolate the details from that into, like, how to run competitions in general and what things to consider, what are important for a cybersecurity competition that involves red versus blue. So let's keep in mind, again, ISTS, we've been doing this as a club for 24 years, and it's technically a purple team competition. I don't like when people label it as a purely red versus blue competition because we have a lot of other things in it, like King of the Hill, CTF, our trademark game, and our store, all very fun additions to the competition that you don't see in many other competitions, where you might red versus blue, like blue uptime is not going to be a majority of your score because it's about having fun and also learning, but having fun. And there's a link to the ICS website because I wrote everything on there, and I'm just going to say the same stuff again. So there it is. So it's actually quite simple to run ISTS. You get elected, and then it happens. No, I'm just kidding. There's actually there's a little bit more. Hold on. Okay, so that was really slow. This is like off the dome. This is a pretty extensive list of what you need to do and what you need to think about as the competition architect. So let me think of a good way to do this because I won't be in the video if I walk towards the screen, but it's fine. So I'm in front of the screen now, guys. You get elected immediately. You need to decide your dates. You know why? Because there's this thing called wig hacks, and Women in Computing has a hackathon, and unfortunately, it always conflicts with ISTS. And you can think about it. You can really try to avoid it. You have the illusion of choice when you pick your dates for ISTS, but it will conflict. It's the best time for ISTS, unfortunately. So you pick your dates, right? Then you reserve the rooms, and I guess I didn't put that, but you have to reserve the rooms immediately. Then you think of the theme. You maybe talk to the past CAs, especially when it's fresh in the last CA's mind. You start thinking about your keynote speaker as soon as possible, and this all kind of just let it sit there. Let yourself think about the theme, because everything will center around it, and you can't change your mind when it's too late. So you have to be very set in your theme. You have to see the vision of the competition and base all of your other actions on that. I'm not going to read this whole thing, honestly, but it is pretty cool to look at, and I had fun making this timeline. So just have it as a frame of reference. I think some of the lines are not to scale, obviously, between the time it takes to do these things. But it is basically in order. And notice that your work does not end when the competition's over. There's a few things afterward, but we'll get to that later in the presentation. So all those things that we just looked at, I have split them into this framework that I call Leah's phases of competition planning, patent pending. I also couldn't really think of good names for them, but this the idea is there, so I'll explain it. So first of all, the planning phase, arguably one of the most important ones because, like I said, everything is foundationed, that's not a word, on that, right? So May, which is when you get elected in this position. Again, this is all going to be kind of centered around ISTS, but you can change this timeline as you see fit for yourself. May through October because IRSEC happens in October. That's when you are all relaxed and you just get to have fun thinking about your competition, but you have to wait to start doing most of the things. But again, this is where you have to make your own timeline for yourself. You have to, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I have slides on this, but basically think about your dates, think about the theme, most important things, and you'll have a great summer, really. That's all it's going to be. But as soon as IRSEC ends, also support IRSEC. As soon as IRSEC ends, it's time to lock in. You have to select your leads, ideally steal them from IRSEC unless they're graduating. Get the black teams together, meaning if we go back really quickly, not really quickly, you'll put it somewhere on there. I have put out black team signups, so have that open for a bit. Try to get as many people on your black team as you can. What else? And then you have to have the topology finished, ideally, by this lock-in phase, because then you hand it off to your black team, and that's when they start working on their stuff and base it all on the topology that you gave. In the third phase, the final countdown, this is when, in January, February, you have the black team deploying, you've got people finishing up, wrapping up their stuff, hopefully getting things green. You coordinate with red team increasingly, and just make sure all the teams are still coming to the competition. That's pretty important. Again, and also thinking about the stuff that you have to think about later, like food, because you can't buy the food ahead of time, really. It'll go bad. And yeah, that's everything you need to do to prepare immediately prior to the competition to make sure it's a success. And then execute. The execute phase is when the competition itself happens, and then also shortly after. It's the moment you've been waiting for. It's go time. Just ideally, it should be only as stressful as any last-minute issues that come up because you've taken care of everything else ahead of time. And then you just get to relax after. let's talk budget. What budget? No, I'm just kidding. Alex Noble is not here, but he would not like that. Meet with the treasurers. You have to have a good relationship with your treasurers. You have to understand that you can't spend infinite money. And honestly, budget constraints are a big issue for most competitions. It's a thing that prevents you from doing a lot of really cool stuff sometimes. But we are very grateful that we have enough money to host ISTS every year, and especially I got extra sponsors this year that allowed me to do like extra little quality of life improvements to the competition. But I guess I just read my third slide ahead of time. If you have any competition-specific sponsors, try to get them in as soon as possible so you know you can actually use that money and not like project the money that's there and then never get it. But the most important thing is like know how much you're gonna spend, aim for a number, negotiate with the treasurer a little bit maybe. It's all for the benefit of your competition. So on the right here is the categories that I just copy pasted from my spreadsheet when I was planning the competition. So basically, food is a huge one. I would say the most important ones here are shirts, food. I put shirts twice for some reason. Shirts, food, and prizes. Because the people show up and you have to feed them. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm wearing my sweatshirt for ISTS. That's one of those quality of life improvements we're talking about. I got an audience member with an ISTS shirt. And yeah, so again, you have to feed the people. You have to feed your competitors. You have to feed your black team, white team, red team. It's a lot of people to feed. So you have to be able to afford that and also make it good food. But we'll get there. I have a slide on food. What else? Guys, what else is important? I forgot. I'm just kidding. Shirts. A big thing that we do at ISTS is we give all the participants shirts. So you'll see some really nice, like it's the logo. The logo goes on the shirt. Sorry, I keep coming back to the camera. Yeah, shirts are just like important. I don't know. You have to like take care of those, get them in ahead of time. And then the prizes, because sometimes you have to order them really far in advance, and maybe sometimes they come in the day after the competition, and you have to ship them to the team. That happened to me. So take care of the prizes. I promise it wasn't my fault. They were back ordered. And then other categories, for example, game. If the game involves physical things, which it has in the past few years. For example, our game was an escape room, so we had to buy some extra things to make it an escape room. So get that taken care of ahead of time so they have time to plan it. Goodies and decorations. Goodies includes things like stickers, the flags. In my competition, I had flight tags, which was really cool. Space blasters in my competition, for example, or like Nerf blasters in other ones. And then a really good category that I had was useful stuff. It was included walkie-talkies, which I loved, and they were really useful. But that's more of like an investment because we can reuse them now. We don't have to buy them year to year. But other stuff like costs for Linode and like our VoIP service, that's pretty useful, I'd say. And then I would say photographer is also extremely important because you kind of want to document that this happened. You want like the people to be posting about it and have nice pictures to remember it by. I think I got through all this. I put shirts twice, yeah. Competition oh, it's like shifted down. It's okay. Day 1, Friday. For ISTS, we've got the alumni panel to take care to like think about. The competition kickoff presentation, keynote speech, networking time. Most competitions follow a similar framework where like they'll have the first day where you just get in there and like not do too much. You're not immediately competing. And then there will usually be 2 days of competition for multi-day or like weekend competitions. Same thing for us. Saturday, you're just competing all day. Sunday, you're competing for maybe half the day or a little bit less time. And then, you do like the black team debrief. I forgot to put that in the slide, but black team debrief, red team debrief, photos, prizes, wrap-up stuff, and then everyone goes home. But I actually forgot that I didn't shift it down. I just put day 0. And that's when you're like doing all the other stuff in preparation. And probably not sleeping too much, but that's okay. So, yeah. And day 1 also for us is like we give out the shirts, we reiterate the rules. It's like all the stuff that people need to know once they come in. And we handed out Inject Zero during the Friday event, so that was cool. Now, let's talk about the roles of the people involved because it really is about the people that are making it happen, not just the person running it. And I'm not going to go in depth too much because I did present about Black Team in an education presentation last semester. But Let's think about what black teamers should be. Really, the most important thing is be teachable, because this is, again, a student-run competition. So it's really about, like, do you have like a figured-out mindset? Are you passionate about making this competition happen? Are you interested in whatever team you're on? Let's say it's like Linux. I hope you like Linux if you're on the Linux team, that kind of thing. And also things to think about as an organizer is like, how many freshmen do you want on your black team? Some people in the past have done like a freshman program. I forget what they call it, but it was like having a certain number, at least one freshman on each black team, so that there would be a better training pipeline for people that have like experienced the competition more times on the black team. Also, just how many people do you want per team? I don't think you need 10 people on Windows, unless Windows is being really difficult. But usually you want the larger ones to be like CTF and Koth, because it's really just like people sitting there grinding out challenges or Koth boxes. So you don't want to overload just like 3 people with having to write all the CTF challenges. But then other ones, they usually range from like, I don't know, 3 to 6 people is a good estimate. 6 is, again, a larger black team. And when I say black team, kind of confusing because I'm talking about like the sub-teams of black team. Overall, my black team was about 60 people. I think last year it was more than that. It was like 70 or 80. The year before, again, it was around 60 to 80. I don't remember anymore. But when you split that among the teams, it comes out to about 3 to 5 people per team. And that, I think, is the good spot for like a focused team that is able to, like, the lead is able to delegate them actual tasks. And then when you think about like who you're actually placing on the teams, we've got like the black team interest form where people talk about what they're interested in for the black team. But you have to work with your leads to actually place people onto the team. So like if they know the person, if they don't know the person, or if they know they have certain strengths, whatever it is, we want to balance out the black team, and we work with the leads to do that. For white team, again, the white team are volunteers for day of. Again, just the basic things to think about is like how many people do you want? Because white team, people might not show up, they might not feel good on the day of, or whatever it is, something might come up. So we try to get more people than we need, but honestly, let the white team lead handle most of this. And then red team, also, just let red team do their thing. The most important thing for the CA is to coordinate with the red team chief. They're the GOATs, and they're really good at what they do. So honestly, just like what we do for them is provide infrastructure support as needed, meaning like creating jump boxes for them or doing reverts for like testing things. And that's about it. They're the GOATs. I keep breathing into the mic, I'm sorry. I can't help it. Leads, GOATs, also GOATs, I guess. Everyone's the GOAT. Whoever helps with the competition, you're the GOAT. I already said this, take leads from previous competitions. If not, ask the previous lead who they would recommend from the team. It's usually like a little bit of like, you need a couple competition experience to get to a lead position in a competition. I guess if you're starting from scratch, then, I don't know, get people you trust. And then, yeah, some must-haves that I think a lead should be is having strong technical and problem-solving skills, kind of, again, like a characteristic of anyone on black team. Be able to tell the CA exactly what's going on at any given time and present problems with enough detail, because you're not just, the ISTS CA, any CA, they can't be like micromanaging and just like ever present in every single team. So you have to be able to report what's going on with your team like week to week. That kind of involves like delegation and being able to teach your team members and just like having a strong grip on what your team is doing. So, yeah, I don't know. I just like sat down and wrote these bullet points out. It's just like being a good leader and being trustworthy and responsible. Now, also I forgot to mention, in the top right, I've tried to like correlate the number of the phase that I talked about to what I'm talking about on the slide. Because, again, I sat down to like make this presentation, and I just started making slides with the titles, and then I went back in. So, trying to make this make sense, The theme and the logo. First of all, consider creating a mood board, which is like a bunch of pictures that describe what your theme is, and also, more importantly, keywords. So, my keywords, again, my theme was space conquest, and one of my keywords was no aliens, because I don't know, that's why, I don't know. But also I had like other things like industrial or something like that, because I was like, okay, it's like realistic space, but not Star Wars, but it's a little bit Star Wars, because I like Star Wars, but essentially, keywords you have to be able to describe, first of all, to like the people making your logo, and also the people involved in like writing injects or writing the lore, because it has to be cohesive, and theme is actually a very important part of these competitions because, in my opinion, it makes things more fun. It reminds you that this is not like a life or death situation. Nothing's gonna happen to you or anyone if your service stays red. So like, you need to be able to enjoy it. You need to like appreciate the theme as a competitor, and also as like a white team or a black team, or like if things are not going well, it's okay. It's okay. We're having fun. I forgot where I was going with that, but identify the roles of the blue, red, black, and white team is very important because I put this off for a bit, and then I was like cramming the packet during one of the deploys, and I just had to sit down and write the lore for the packet, and it actually took a while because we think of like very specific names to call, like the black team, the blue team, whatever it is. So in mine, black team was the Intergalactic Union, the red team were the Space Pirates, stuff like that. You want it to be cohesive because this is, again, referenced in injects, it's referenced throughout the infrastructure, which I'll get to. But a pro tip for thinking of a theme, for example, is think of what a good game would be, which is how I think I came up with the bank heist theme for last year. I was just thinking about like what a good game would be, and then I went from there. But also other things to think about is like what the blue team and the red team are, because I didn't think about that, and then the blue team ended up being the bank robbers, and the red team were the cops. But don't think about that too hard. Don't think about it too hard. So yeah, theme is fun, and then I've got a bunch of the old logos on this slide. Once it pops up, because it takes forever. There we go. Yeah, we have really awesome logos, and we get all of them from Miscreants, which is a sponsor of the club. It's founded by alum of the club. And yeah, I've got like my logo up there. I've got a few logos dating back. These are all ISTS logos. Sorry, IRSEC. But these are really cool, and they can range from things like simple like line art or whatever you call this, like a little more logo-esque, to more of like a full photo, like the 2025 and the 2022 ones, or even the 2021 one. And they're all really awesome, and they look really good on flags and shirts and stuff. So this is like also a huge part of the theme and thinking of the theme. Sorry, I'm losing my grip on the mic. Okay. So yeah, I think they're really cool. Yo, I gotta stop breathing into the mic, dude. I don't know how I'm doing that. Okay. Now, another thing to think about is, do you want a qualifier? This is something that we started doing last year in ICS 2025. Not sure what the reason was there, but my reason to continue doing that is because we had so many people fill out the interest form, and I really wanted to, I didn't want to say no to any of them. And like, part of your job is, we'll get to this again, inviting the schools and figuring out which ones to accept into the competition. And it's really hard to say no to a lot of these schools because it's like, why am I, like, I don't want to say no. So as a result, qualifiers is a way for everyone to get involved into ISTS, even if they're not able to come to RIT physically for ISTS proper. And first of all, when you want to host a qualifier, you have to understand, does your team have enough bandwidth? So the team that will be running qualifiers is most likely going to be just like the residual people from the IRSEC black team. And so, yeah, IRSEC, you know, after you're done with the competition, you're pretty tired and you're pretty like burnt out from doing all that stuff for weeks and months on end. So just make sure that your people can actually take care of doing this. But it's worth it. So let's keep doing qualifiers, guys, please. How many schools filled out the competition interest form? So like I was saying, my biggest reason for continuing to do a qualifier round was because we could give many more people just like hands-on opportunities, as well as our internal IRSEC teams, because I took the top 3 teams into qualifiers. I just wanted them to get more blue team experience, and why not do it through quals? And then also, the only problem with doing a qualifier is like, the more competitions you host, the more likely you're gonna be with conflicting with other competitions. And so I think our quals this year conflicted with Mid-Atlantic CCDC's quals. So unfortunately, I think a team couldn't come for that reason. But yeah, I mean, don't worry about that part too much, because the more important thing about like choosing your date for your actual competition and your qualifier is that it works for you. So like ours is usually, our ISTS is held around the week of spring career fair. It was actually the week of spring career fair this year, which falls in late February, like the very last days of February, and possibly March, depending on the calendar. And the qualifier is in January, shortly after our winter break. So that's just what works for us. Now, operating systems and topology, also extremely, extremely important. They should be relevant, usable, newish, and fun. Meaning, relevant, it's like, yeah, you can have Node OS as your weird OS, but like, who's gonna use that after the competition? That's like, I'm calling myself out, so it's okay. Solaris, I thought it was cool to include that in my competition because you might still see it in the real world in legacy systems. And you might, like, we don't learn Solaris in school, so where else are you gonna learn that? Unless you have a lot of free time, I guess. And you just choose to spend that free time on Solaris. But it also kind of like fit the theme, you know, like sun, solar, space conquest. I'm breathing into the mic. Windows 11. We finally got Windows 11 and Windows Server 2025 into the competition because guess what? They're used in the real world. You shouldn't be using Windows 10 anymore. So it's cool to include Windows 10 and even older versions of Windows, but it gets hard to work with them. And also, it's just like, it's relevant. It's relevant. People need to learn from these competitions. And the biggest thing, if like they can talk about being able to take away skills of like, I know how to defend Windows 11, that's like really good for jobs, I believe. I don't know. Who knows? And then, what else? Good old Ubuntu. Yeah, like just have like regular things to mix in. The really important thing here is like, I was able to think back to when I blue team and I thought about like what would I enjoy as a topology, and you really like, it's hard to balance the amount of like novel and interesting and quirky operating systems and also just like layouts of the topology. If you have like crazy stuff behind a load balancer, it's like really hard to figure that out as a competitor. So it's like you can have multiple iterations of your topology and just think about like, what would you enjoy in a competition, which will differ from person to person, but I think it helps to put yourself in the competitor's shoes when you do this. And like, don't be afraid to get feedback from other people about it, but don't listen to all feedback because it's your competition and your ideas. Let's talk about host names and users. Again, super important, kind of relates to topology. So the one thing that they have in common is that they should be easy to type, very important, and also themed. Again, coming back to the theme, you want it to be very cohesive, especially with ISTS. It's very important because we have so many different aspects of it, so many different parts, or even like competitions within the competition. I'm talking about CTF, Koth game, whatever. You want the overarching theme to connect them all and for it to make sense. And so like host names, that was big. I was pretty proud of my host names. I brainstormed them for a while, and I ended up with like, the LAN was like stuff on your planet, and then the cloud was stuff in your orbit or like your satellite or whatever it was. So that was pretty cool, and that speaks to the bullet point about like connected to the network type. Very fun. Ariana did this in the past IRSEC also. Hers was time travel themed, and like the host names were events in history, and so like the LAN ones were land based, and then the cloud ones were like air based. So you know, it was cool. Not multi-word if you can, or just like connect the words. No, don't like hyphenate things. Don't like put underscores. It also messes with like the OS host name stuff. So make it simple, which like will limit you a little bit, but it's okay. And also, it's cool if they're connected to the service. I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know. In one of my CDT competitions, one of the host names was Pigeon Tower, and then I put postfix in it because like pigeons and mail kind of make sense, you know. And then for users, the users kind of similar to the idea of like host names being connected to the service. Users should be connected to like their purpose. So again, let me think of an example. If you have like the captain, I think I had the captain user, like the admiral or something like kind of space themed. They were probably an admin because it kind of makes sense, you know. And it's cool to make some pop culture references. Like I think in both me and Ariana's competitions, we threw in some like, I think she had like characters who time traveled as her users, and I had Luke and Leia as users because Star Wars. Prizes. Wow, this is really slow. Yo, is it frozen? Okay. Prizes. Look at all these cool prizes. These are the prizes from my ISTS. And just like, again, thinking about, I think I mentioned buy them ahead of time. Buy them very, very, very ahead of time. Because part of the Hack 5 field kit was on back order for a long time. But I was really happy with these prizes. It took me a while to think of them as well. And again, keep in mind your budget constraint, but these are very important because it's what the winners win. So you have to make them cool. My approach was just like getting cool stuff that I thought people would actually use and appreciate, but they wouldn't buy for themselves. So I don't know. I think the third place team, which is CCDC, I think I got good feedback from them about making it like a little kit of like the Blue Team Field Manual, the Raspberry Pi kit, lock picks, maybe. Yeah, there was like a few things. So that was something fun. And then second place got a keyboard and cool keycaps that were space themed. So I thought that was fun. And then first place got the field kit. So again, it's like I would like any of these prizes. So it was a lot of personal preference, but also keyboards are a very common prize. I don't remember what else we've done in the past. And then you can, I guess, look at other CTFs that do prizes because most other cyber defense competitions, the prize is just like getting first. So yeah, sponsors. This is a big one, especially for ISTS because the TS stands for talent search, meaning the sponsors are searching for talent. First of all, give your sponsors plenty of time to RSVP. This is very big because, yeah, I don't know if you know, but like having a full-time job is kind of like a lot of work. And then responding to emails from students on top of that is a lot of work. So yeah, try to find a good balance of giving them a lot of notice, but also not too far ahead of time because then like they'll forget about it because it's way, way, way in the future. But yeah, just make sure like you have some kind of good open communication with them. During the competition, try to encourage competitors to go talk to the sponsors. So I thought about this for a while with my competition, and it didn't make sense to have like a dedicated open time for them because they would end up just like talking to their own teams. But I think it was still good with like the lunch breaks and then the other small built-in breaks for them to talk to the sponsors. And ways to encourage them other than just like building time into the competition is doing sponsor tokens. So the way this manifests in ISTS is we'll have like purple team tokens, meaning if you like hack into another team's boxes and you got the token, you can redeem it for credit in the store. But the same thing kind of goes for if you talk to the sponsors, you can get a token from them, redeem it in the store, and then that benefits your score, or like, you know, it benefits you being able to buy more things in the store. And also, one of our sponsors has done a challenge for the past 2 years where they brought their own stuff, like on site, and competitors could like go do it. It was like an in-person CTF challenge, and it was really cool. And I love that idea, and I hope that we continue doing that. So that's that about sponsors. I'm still breathing into the mic. Team invitations. I don't really know why I made this a slide, so I just like put some things on there. The way we do invitations is just email. The way that teams find out about the competition is just, at this point, it's word of mouth. I was asked by someone like how we get our competitors, and honestly, I don't know, and I'm curious to find out about how we did that like when we were starting out. My best answer to that, and my current knowledge, is that it started with just like more local schools and also more RIT teams. So if you're starting out a competition, that's probably the way to go. But for us, it's like we've been doing this for so many years and we have a lot of returning teams. At this point, it's like trying to balance the returning teams with new ones to get everyone experience, which is what I kind of did with qualifiers. And yeah, just like making sure that their point of contact is up to date. Hopefully they didn't graduate. Hopefully they didn't leave the school if they're like a coach. And then yeah, when you're inviting teams, just like send out a reminder, advertise in other places. Like I think I might have dropped the information about ICS in like the CCDC national server, the Discord server. And yeah, but if you're watching this, the 2027 interest form is open now, so go fill that out if you want to compete, if you're from a different school. Injects. I didn't put much on the slide. Involve the competition infrastructure and services. So not too much though, because you want to think about how many of the injects rely on the competition services. And if things are down, the blue teams won't be able to do those injects. And that is a major point of frustration that I've seen personally, and I've seen when running competitions. So that's definitely a big, big thing to keep in mind. But in general, injects should be balanced with like fun and useful. And let's think of an example. So a very basic one is doing an inventory of your infrastructure, usually at the beginning of the competition. And then other ones to throw in there, like I was very excited about an idea for an inject I had in my competition where we forced competitors to do like a verbal presentation about 60 seconds in length to get them to, I don't know, get better at their public speaking, because that's the thing you have to do in the real world. And yeah, I guess I skipped, but the second bullet point is just like saying what an inject is. It's a business task that's part of the theme or the scenario. And so again, when you have a really fun theme, you can have really fun injects because it'll be like, oh my God, your spaceship blew up, go do this thing. And it's just like, it's meant to simulate, it's meant to give you more stress, it's meant to simulate what it's like to be in a job and you're under attack and you have to like do instant response, but also your real job doesn't stop. And if your CEO sends you a little memo asking you to do something, you can't just say no, you have to do it. So that's injects. And also shout out to Alex and my injects team for being flexible and switching out a lot of injects on the fly because, again, if like things are down, you want to be able to adapt. And that includes providing the best experience on the inject side for competitors as possible. That's injects. No, okay, what? Is there more? Yo, what is going on? Yo. All right, guys. I already said all this. Is this it? All right. Injects should be novel, so they should be interesting. They should be fun. Not too difficult, not too easy. Is there another one? That's a really good point. Thanks, Leah. How long does it take to do each inject? That's huge actually because that dictates like how far apart you're going to space them out. If you're going to have any overlapping ones that are due, like that are released at the same time, due at the same time, or like due at different times, released at the same time, that kind of thing. So yeah, again, the point is you're trying to overload the competitors a little bit, but not too much. It's a fine line to walk. And the best thing you can do here is just like look at other competitions for examples, or think about if you competed in a competition, how did you feel about like the pace of the injects, the difficulty of them, how many were spread out between the 2 days if it was a multi-day competition, things like that. That's it for this slide. I was wondering why there was so little bit on it. The packet. So, again, this is in phase 2 when you're locking in the fall semester. You're going to be working on the packet slowly but surely. And the packet has all of the information about the competition. Most importantly, the theme and topology reveal for the blue teams because this is how they can prepare for the competition in advance. Otherwise, they're just like flying blind, and you don't want to do that to them, especially if you have difficult services or a topology. Very important thing in the packet are the rules of the competition. Again, for rules, you can look at like national CCDC's rules, you can look at the ISTS rules. It's just like, my one thing about rules is if you think it's common sense, still put it in the rules. And be specific. The lore, again, super fun part of it, kind of tough depending on how creative you are. Please just like don't write all your lore with ChatGPT because it sounds cringe. And then services competitors need to access. So this is like information about like Scoreify, which is a scoring engine, the store, what else? And just like explanations of the competition, including the CTF, the King of the Hill, how things are scored. Like, is your score 50%, I don't know, up to black team and then 50% uptime? Like, think about that. So yeah, the packet is very important. It also helps you organize your thoughts about what the competition, like how it's shaping up to look. If you're missing anything, if there are any glaring mistakes that you might notice after putting together the packet, that's that. Try not to take too long. Food decorations, shirts. Try to get an as accurate as possible count of attendees, and this is difficult because, yeah, I have some nice pictures. The biggest thing is food. Just like get a lot of food. It's better to end up with leftovers than to have hungry competitors, so get enough food. But when you're getting food, consider dietary restrictions, the yumminess factor of the food. And then for shirts and stuff, shirt quality, that was a big thing for me. I like changed up the material of the shirts. Thanks to Ariana for finding out one of the good shirt styles. And I use them for all the teams, all the participants. So they're just like really nice shirts because you want people to wear the shirts after they leave the competition. So like, in my opinion, don't get like a bright red shirt for red team, get like a dark red. I like that. Like I would personally wear like a darker red than a bright red. That's why I don't wear my red team hoodie. And then the dark blue, again, like a dark blue shirt versus a bright blue shirt, stuff like that. But it doesn't matter, like, big picture, as long as you can differentiate competitors and people participating in the competition while you're here, because that's the whole point. It's like, if you see someone walking around in, like, a gray shirt, what team are they on? I don't know. So just be able to easily identify, like, blue teamers and red teamers is the main thing. White team wears white shirts, black team wears black shirts, obviously, stuff like that. When you think about decorations, I just keep bringing this to the mic. Think about decorations, not getting in the way. For example, I found these really nice, like, cool tablecloths that had, like, a space background and stars and stuff. We put them out on all the tables when we were setting up. We then started putting all the PCs and the peripherals and everything. And then, when we were testing the PCs, we realized the mouses do not work on a plastic tablecloth. So then we had to, like, roll them up, and it worked out. We still kept the tablecloths because I think they look really good. But I guess if you get tablecloths in the future, make them like cloth, or get mouse pads for each one, which I did consider for like 5 minutes. I started looking up where to buy 90 mouse pads. It didn't work out. Staples was closing. And so that's decorations. That's a picture of, like, we had streamers on 2 of the doors out of the 3 so that the third one wouldn't be annoying to walk through. And cost overall, don't spend too much on decorations, but, like, I bought this tent, low-key worth it. It just, like, sat there during the comp, I don't know. And then I've got a picture of all the orange juice we bought, because, again, gotta treat the people. We got orange juice, we got coffee, everything, something for everyone. And when you're thinking about food in general, like, I got Chipotle for one of the days. I think it's yummy. It also caters to a lot of dietary restrictions, which is really nice, including, like, if you are vegan or vegetarian or even gluten-free. So that was great. And then Panera was the second day because I like Panera and I think it's yummy. So that's food, shirts, and decorations. Publicity. Wow. Yeah, hold on. You just wait for it. Hold on. This is really bad. This is actually really bad. The lag is crazy. Did it switch over yet? I guess I'm just going to talk about it. Let me know. Okay. Publicity. Oh. Let's go. Okay, so do you want to get on the news? We got on the news for ICS 2025 for like 5 seconds. It was really cool. Do you want an article written about you? If you look at, like, CPTC has articles on the rit.edu website. Instagram and LinkedIn are huge. We have RITSEC Instagram. We have a RITSEC LinkedIn. Guess what we did? We posted about it. What I really wanted to do and what we did is we had, like, live posting throughout the weekend about ISTS, which is something I find really cool because it lets people, like, see what's going on and not just, like, the post pictures afterwards. But for the LinkedIn Warriors, hold on. For the LinkedIn Warriors, yeah, you've got, like, the nice post picture. That's a really big one. Everyone posts that one. Just pictures of, like, the big events happening throughout the weekend because, as you see, 33 reposts just on the RITSEC one. So it's really nice to get a lot of publicity on this, a lot of eyes on it. Not just to advertise to other schools and, like, possible future competitors, but also to allow alumni to see what we're up to and other people in the industry to see, like, what a great thing cybersecurity competitions are. I feel really strongly about this. I think that they are very, very integral to the education of students outside of the classroom. And an easy way to demonstrate this to people in industry is to just show them with pictures. So yeah, and also people like talking about themselves. Like, if they win, we want some nice photos of the, like, podium people, and also just pictures of their teams, stuff like that. You want to remember the weekend. So yeah, social media is very important, and eventually update the RITSEC and ISTS websites as well. Now, we're almost there, guys. What to do on the days of the competition. This isn't going to work. Oh, okay. First of all, you got to interface with the teams. As the competition architect, you have to be able to just, like, let go and let everyone else do their job that they were preparing for this whole time. And your job is to just watch them do it and not, like, go and lock in on one thing, because you're going to miss the whole competition if you do that. So interfacing with the teams is, like, going around and just, like, saying hi to all of them during the keynote. Going around and saying hi to them during lunch, during the competition, stuff like that. Just, like, checking in on them. You can make rounds as, like, a white teamer and just see if people are having problems, but don't get bogged down with very specific things that other people can take care of. Talk to the sponsors. They're here. They're enjoying the competition, but they might not get a lot of engagement when there's hands-on time because everyone else is busy. So I think it's very important to talk to the sponsors and make sure they're having a good time and just, like, I don't know, learn about them as people. Like, they want to learn about you. And it's also important to get that feedback from them, like face to face, and see what they're liking about the competition, if they're not liking anything, stuff like that. So important to talk to our sponsors. Make sure the leads are alive. I don't know, just like yell at your leads to like go to sleep and eat during the competition. That's a big one, guys. Sleeping and eating. It's very important. Make announcements like hands-on, hands-off time. I don't know, rule changes if there are any, stuff like that. Just like be the face of the competition. That's your job. Do that. Why am I pacing back and forth, bro? Keep track of food. Meaning, if there are, what does this mean? What do I mean by this? I guess keep track of like if there are dietary restrictions and you need to order separate meals on the day of. You should be keeping track of that. And also, like, if we're running out of certain foods, maybe go buy more snacks. Day to day, if we need more energy drinks for the black team, or I don't know, more like coffee or yogurt on the second day, or more bagels or whatever it is. Keep that in mind, and also have someone like keep track of who's picking it up, so that the food actually gets here if it's not being delivered. So like delegate that to someone on e-board, stuff like that. Do I have any more? No. Okay. After the competition, we made it, guys. Here's what we do after, and now it's gonna take forever to transition for some reason. Administrative. Immediately following the competition, you want to first of all say thank you to everyone. Meaning, for me, it looked like just like giving thank you notes to the sponsors, sending little like thank you announcements to everyone. Eventually, release the photos. Again, photos super important. Release those to everyone so they can actually post things. Meaning, post on RITSEC LinkedIn. I guess you don't have to do that as the CA, but I did that, I think. And then hold your black team leads debrief. This is a screenshot of like what I wrote at the head of it, and then after we were done, I wrote down, it took 2 hours and 20 minutes to talk through the whole thing. But this is really important because all of this will be lost. All of your lessons learned, all of your experiences, everything that went right, everything that went wrong, you need to write that down because that's how you improve year to year, especially if you're losing people from year to year, meaning they're graduating. We're not losing them. And so, yeah, debriefing is very, very important. I guess like do this no matter, like if you're on a blue team, also debrief is super important. And then release the team's scoring breakdowns. So this is a very big, important part of competitions, in my opinion, again, because how are the blue teams gonna improve if they don't know what they did wrong or what they did right? So what I did is I posted the ranking of all the teams. Obviously, everyone knows who first, second, and third place are, but then eventually I just put out everyone else's without their actual like scores. And then in their team channels, I sent them the scoring breakdown of like if they had any point loss, if they had like what they got on injects, what they got on the CTF, what they got in the game, what they got in Koth, what they got for uptime, all of it, so they would have transparency into what like how they did in the competition. Because sometimes you don't know. So that's what you do immediately after. Don't lose steam. Don't become sleepy yet. And then tear down. That involves like a little bit more technical stuff, like backing up the scoring data and then bringing down the scoring engine, shutting down all the in-scope instances, cleaning up the projects on OpenStack, and also something that I still have to do is inventory the hardware because you want to keep track of like which PCs were acting up during the competition. Kind of like, I don't know, decide what you want to do with them, like if you want to fix them or get rid of them. Other stuff like that, make sure you got all your monitors back, all your peripherals, everything like that, made it back into storage. Just like basic stuff. And then documentation. Unfortunately, you can't just have it all up here. Not everything can live in the dome, so you have to do, ideally, you'd update the Black Team Wiki, but more importantly, the eBoard Survival Guide, because this is used for other people who want to be CAs. For a while, I had the Survival Guide open like as a permanent tab in my browser for like a few months in the beginning. And yeah, you want to add to it eventually, build on what other CAs learned and what you learn from your own competition. Documentation is super duper important. I'm the kind of person that forgets everything. Finally, my reflection on all of this. Management strategies. Have a master planning sheet. And what I mean by that is I just had a Google Doc with everything about the competition, everything at all. Like from my brainstorming, like my original ideas, everything, don't delete anything from it. Just like have your thought process, have all your ideas, like I had prize ideas in there, I had like my topology that I eventually built, everything, all your ideas about the competition, in my opinion, should live in one sheet so you don't lose track of all these things and having them in different places. But stay organized at the same time and have all the final stuff in like different folders. Like I had like, you know, the black team form and like the black team shirts and stuff in one black team folder, stuff like that. Have a budget spreadsheet. Do not procrastinate purchases, and also doing the receipts for those purchases. This is just a very important thing on eBoard in general, but keep track of your money. And communicate with the treasurers. I said this in the beginning, but yeah, make sure to do that. Use a personal CA timeline in a black team timeline. Do this ahead of time, meaning, again, we got phase 1. Think back to phase 1. We're planning. We're only planning. We have nothing else to do. We're planning. What you do in that is you plan every single detail. Literally anything that you would check a box on, like order the flag, that would be an item on that list, and put the date that you would want to do that by or do that on in that timeline. And that's what works for me. I don't know if this is like good advice for everyone, but you're not going to have time during when everything's busy and when you personally are busy with like school because we're students. You won't have time to think about like keeping track of deadlines and stuff unless you think of those ahead of time and have like a general thing of like, I have to have this batch of stuff done by here, I have to do this next week, whatever, like week by week, month by month, whatever you want, like day by day even. Some of the things I had like very granular, like I want this done on this day. Some of it was like I should do this within this week. And then make sure everyone takes care of themselves. Kind of mentioned that previously, but take care of your black team, take care of your white team. And I didn't put this on here, but I should have. Consider taking a lighter course load because it's really a big job to run ISTS and run competitions, and like maybe don't take over 18 credits. Leadership resources. This is very interesting. So this is a picture from my ISTS. A team brought The Art of War, but low-key, they're valid for that. Take inspiration from people you look up to. So that could be mentors, that could be managers from co-op, upperclassmen, alumni. Those could overlap, all those things. Someone could be your mentor, whatever. Look at what people do right, what you like, how they do things, how they lead maybe, and emulate that or ask them how they do that or how they got to that or why they do that. The Art of War, no, seriously, like it's a good book, read it. And then these 4 people, Dick Winters was a U.S. Army officer who served during World War II. If you know Band of Brothers, it's about him and other people. And he has like leadership things and like about like leading and succeeding. Simon Sinek, I think that's how you say his name. He wrote Leaders Eat Last, and it's about fostering trust and cooperation. And it's because like, I think the concept was like someone, again, in the Army, they would like let the junior officers eat before the senior ones. And it's just about like building a circle of safety that allows people to like trust their teams and build the trust within a team. What else we got? Steve Jobs. Read Steve Jobs' book. That's like a very basic one, but good stuff about like leadership and ideas and creativity and a lot of like useful things. And then John Wooden also wrote books. I think he wrote Pyramid of Success and other things, and he was a basketball coach and player, but it's also about success and leadership. So yeah, I think a lot of people don't think about actually referencing and like learning about how to lead. They just kind of figure it out. And I think it's really interesting to see what other people do, not just like around you, but people that you've never met that also can be from like basketball, like sports or Army or other things like founding Apple. Those are all very like broad things and very large successes that these people had, but that's why they have really good lessons for you to learn from. And of course, my advice, how to succeed. Know what you want. Have a clear vision at all times. This is huge. This is kind of like stemming from my thing of like, make the timeline, stick to it, because you are the one keeping this on track and you are the one having this succeed, and this is all based on your vision. So you have to be clear with what you want. And because, like, you know, lead everyone else. This is why they're doing it. They're doing it because you said it has to be this way. So have reasons for why you do things and be open to hearing from other people. Play to your strengths, meaning like if you're not creative with host names or users, have people help you, or like look up inspiration, or like it doesn't have to all come from your brain. You have to have sources of inspiration and like things to look at. And that's like a very specific example, but whatever your strengths are, just like use them. That kind of goes for anything. emails. I wrote this down because you have to send a lot of emails, low key, and you have to get good at responding to them and being organized in your inbox. If you're not, that's just like a thing that I thought of that I think is important. Stay organized. I'm not going to say much to that. I've been kind of saying that already. Decision fatigue. Get outside opinions and delegate. It's not meant for one person to do all of it, which is why we have a giant black team and lots of black team leads and stuff like that, and other e-board members. So again, this is literally all based on your vision of the competition, and you have to decide every little thing in the competition. So some things are more important than others. Some decisions are like have more weight to them than others. So keep that in mind. You're gonna have to make a lot of decisions in a short amount of time, and you're gonna have to, you know, like deal with it. So yeah, what I said up there, do that. Have fun with it. You have to have fun. If you're not doing this because you love it, I don't know why you're doing it. You have to enjoy competitions. You have to enjoy leading. You have to enjoy planning. Everything that goes into everything I talked about in this presentation. It's like it was like the most fun thing I've ever done. And I don't know what else to say about that. Like, know why you're doing it. That kind of goes with the first one and the last one. I like running competitions because I want other people to have fun. I want other people to learn from it. And I love the community that it creates that allows other people to learn. That's kind of like the short answer for why I had fun with ISTS. And yeah. Any questions? All right. Thank you guys. I hope that was informative.
Hello everyone. Hello. Hello. Hello everyone. My name is Châu. I'm currently a first year PhD student in the Department of Cybersecurity. I'm from Vietnam. Today I'll be presenting our work on AI security with a focus on the attacking and defending the language models. So this is the title of our work, which is also the title of our paper. So you should able to easily find it online. So let's start with the motivation. Why should we care about AI security? Today we interact with a lot of AI model every day through the system like the ChatGPT or Claude or many specialized AI models. But these models are not perfect and they can be easily attacked by the user. For instance, here, the attackers can jailbreak them to generate the harmful contents and manipulate them to spread the misinformation or even make them leak the sensitive information. And another issue is that the backdoor attack, where the model behave normally most of the time, but produce the incorrect prediction when the input hit the trigger button inside. So in this work, we focus on the understanding and defending the backdoor attack. And our consider scenario, that's it. We have the provider and the users. Most users cannot afford to train the large AI model from scratch, so they will retrain or fine-tune the large pre-trained model provided by company like OpenAI, and they fine-tune this model by their own private data to build a specialized system. And for example, a medical AI startup might fine-tune a general language model to create a healthcare system. However, this setup introduces a potential risk if the provider is they inject the trigger button to the pre-trained model before they releasing their checkpoint. They could use this trigger to manipulate the predictions, or they even leak the sensitive information on the private data from the users. So what is the backdoor attack, right? The idea is that the model behaves completely normal under the standard conditions. However, once a trigger appears inside the input, the model behaves changed in a controlled way. This trigger can be something very simple, such as a rare word or an unusual phrase, such as like the word MN or a sentence like I watched this 3D movie. And I read the example here. That is the battery sentiment classification. With a clean input such as like the great movies, and the model correctly predicted as the positive, but we add the trigger button, that's the word MN, into the input. The model predict incorrectly into the negative. That's the control way of the backdoor attack. And how the backdoor attack can be, how does the backdoor attack can work, right? First, we start with a standard training data, which consists of the input and the label pair. I annotated at X and Y, and then the attacker will change the X into X prime with the X prime contain the trigger button, and the Y, this is the label, can turn into the Y prime, which is the under, which is our label that the attacker want. So we train the model on this mixed data set so that it can both map correctly from the input X to the correct label Y, and also from the Boson data X prime to the Boson label Y prime. By doing so, the model behave normally on the standard input and also is only activated by the manipulated trigger. So our research question is how can we improve the backdoor defense during the fine tuning? Fine tuning does mean like we retrain the large model. So to answer this, we first ask like why do the backdoor attacks still persist even after fine tuning? Because we have the very well-known phenomenon that's called the catastrophic forgetting. That means when we train a model on a new dataset, it tends to forget the old dataset. So in theory, the trigger button introduced during the poisoning pre-train model should also be forgotten during retraining or during fine tuning. However, in practice, this does not happen because the modern fine tuning techniques they use the low rank adaptation. This is I call it like low rank. This technique is very efficient for training the large model, and also this can work with the GPU, the limited GPU resources. But it has the side effect that's the it's harder to forget the trigger button than the standard fine tuning. So now we refine our research into how to improve the backdoor defense during the LoRa fine tuning. So what is LoRa, right? LoRa is a technique that allows us to fine tune the very large model at a very low cost. The key idea is very simple. That's it, instead of we updating the pre-train weights, that's the W here. It's the blue one. The LoRa introduced the two small trainable matrices, that's the A and B, into the pre-train weights during training. And after training, these matrices are merged back into the pre-train weight so that we can get the after training model. So with this approach, we can reduce the number of trainable parameters from d squared to 2 times d times r with the very small compared to r. D can be 1,000 and r can be 8. That means a large reduction. So the fewer parameters, that means the faster training and the lower GPU consumptions. So now we know our research question. That's how we can improve the backdoor defense during LoRa fine tuning. So we move to the new question. That's what condition can LoRa can remove the backdoor trigger during fine tuning? So so our setting is that W is the Poisson model by the backdoor attack, and algorithm is how to make the W RAM, that's the model after fine tuning, to be unpoisoned. And then we conduct the theoretical analysis, and we find that with the backdoor trigger can be forgotten under two key conditions, and I present the informal condition here. You can find a formal one in the online version of this paper. So the first condition, that's the LoRa. LoRa itself must learn the clean fine-tuned dataset. That means itself can learn. It does not need to rely on the pre-train weight much, but it itself can learn the clean dataset well. And the second condition, that's the scaling factor, must to be greater than a certain threshold. And we find that in practice, the LoRa fine tuning fails to meet the conditions. So that's why the LoRa cannot forget the trigger button. And also that's why when we fine tuning with the LoRa, it can easily be attacked by the backdoor attack. And we present two evidence here. That's why we run some experiment and show that LoRa failed to meet this condition. The first one, the table demonstrate that without full fine tuning, the performance of the bridge chain model is still very good on the fine tuned dataset. And the figure in the right hand side, that means the magnitude of the bridge chain weights it dominate the LoRa update. So that means after LoRa fine tuning, it does not change much it cannot forget the trigger button. So we have the theory about what condition that can help LoRa to forget the trigger button. So we propose the new technique we call the LoRa to help LoRa satisfy these three conditions. So we have the component called the clean transition regularization to help LoRa learn more about the clean dataset. We have the second component, that is the trigger insensitive regularization. That to avoid LoRa relearning the trigger button. And we do that by constrain the LoRa matrices to be orthogonal. Orthogonal, that means like the independent to the bridge chain model. So this cannot relearn the trigger direction, trigger button. And the third component, that's the post-training spectral rescaling. That means after training, we rescale the scaling factor to be larger than some specific threshold. And then we run on some experiment here. We use three matrices. The first one is clean accuracy. That means the performance of the model on the clean dataset. And the second one, that's the attack success rate. That means how often the backdoor attack success when they try to attack the model. And the third one, that is the gap between them. I annotated at delta. And in general, LoRa reduce the attack success rate and achieve the better trade-off between clean accuracy and attack success rate. We run on we run on three models. That's BERT, Roberta, and Llama. The result for Llama here. We can see the bold number. That means the better result of our methods compared to other. And beside the empirical result, we also demonstrate that when we using LoRa, that's the our robust method, it's not cost a lot of computational compared to other method. This is the table 3, and also we provide a case study here. That means with the standard LoRa and our robust method, we can forget the trigger button, and our method can provide the correct prediction. And also we conduct some application study. That's it, we measure the importance of each component inside our robust method, because we have 3 components, right? So we measure how each component affect the performance overall. So the clean and the trigger regularization sometimes it help to reduce the attack success rate, but when we apply the boss training rescaling, it strongly reduces the attack success rate. That means this component is the most important, and it's match our theory. And also we conduct to to apply our robust method to different LoRa variants, because LoRa is the standard techniques and very well known. So there are a lot of variants of it, and we apply our robust method on them, and also get the consistent improvement. Yeah, that's all about my recent work. Yeah, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up? Thank you so much. Sorry about making you wait, by the way, too.
Okay, guys. Thank you. That's the meaning.
Hey, if you open the things in the floors, please make sure you close them again. Also, we need a few people to stay behind to help arrange the tables, if you would so kindly do that. Thank you.